Hello and welcome to the fourth in the series of Dunson Thomas video logs in which we look at topical pension issues. Today we're going to look at clients approaching the end of their career who have multiple pension pots and what it is that we could do about them. It's not unusual for clients to have multiple pension pots, particularly during the later stages of their career. So I want to spend a moment to look at how they may have arisen and what, if anything, there is that can be done about them. For starters, we've all got a basic state pension, and if your client has a full basic state pension, that's £164 a week in today's money. It's well worth checking that, and you can do that either in paper using the old form BR19 or on the new government website, Check Your State Pension. And while you're doing that, make sure they're getting all of the obscure credits. Things like grandparents' credits that are available when a grandparent has taken time out of the labour market to care for their grandchildren, enabling their own sons and daughters to go back to work. Turning to the occupational pension schemes, they may well have some DB entitlement. Back in the 1970s, they were pretty much universal, and in that era, 9 out of every £10 that went into pensions was going into a DB scheme. Now, we've talked in past elements of this series about the amazingly high DB transfers that are on offer today. However, that's not right for everybody, and some clients will really value the bedrock of secure income that comes from a DB pension scheme. And if those DB entitlements happen to be from one of the unfunded public sector schemes, like the large teachers or NHS pension schemes, then that right to transfer has fallen away anyway, because it expired in April 2015 along with the introduction of the pension freedoms. Moving on in their career, you'll probably notice a point where they change jobs, and at the same time as changing jobs, their future pension accrual changed from DB to DC. Now that happened because the way that employers typically unwound those final salary pension schemes was to begin by closing them to new entrants. So as people changed around and moved jobs in the labour market, inadvertently they moved from DB accrual to DC accrual. But those early DC schemes often came with guarantees. And if the actuaries back in the day had underpriced those guarantees, then they can be very valuable today. So look out for old DC schemes that have got guaranteed growth rates or guaranteed annuity rates, because they can be almost as good as a final salary scheme today. However, those old DC schemes come with a flip side. They typically have very heavy exit penalties, reflecting the historically high commissions that were paid on the time that the scheme began. That can take a nasty bite out of any transfer value today. However, the FCA have ridden to the rescue of customers here, and they've passed rules that says that from age 55, a customer can transfer out of an old DC scheme in order to take advantage of the pension freedoms, and their exit penalty is limited to just 1% of the fund value. So if a client's got an old scheme with heavy exit penalties, it's well worth waiting, either until they reach age 55 or maybe beyond that if they're not yet ready to exercise pension freedoms and meet things like the money purchase annual allowance. And moving forward in their career, coming up to date, you'll find quite a number of automatic enrolment pots. DWP are about to celebrate the 10 millionth person being automatically enrolled since the start of that program back in 2012. However, DWP also estimate that by the middle of this century we will have 50 million automatic enrolment pots for the 10 million people that are in the scheme. And this arises because what has become commonplace is for people to change jobs but to leave the pension pot behind in the old scheme and to start a new one at their new employer's place. You may well be asked to consider consolidating these various small auto-enrolment pots into one place. Look carefully at the charges. Although they were all capped, some are higher than others, and some schemes, like Nest and Now, have very low fund management charges, but combined with other charges for contributions or administration. So in conclusion, it's not unusual for a customer to have half a dozen or even more pension pots. At some point, the pension dashboard may arrive and they could self-serve and look at them themselves. But that project seems to be having difficulty getting off the launch pad at the moment, and its arrival is clearly a long way away. In the meantime, a financial advisor that has the skills and ability to look at all those old pensions and to appreciate the nuggets of value that may be hidden in amongst them has a skill that will be in great demand amongst clients today.